We'll dedicate the learning today, Lefuas Shalema, for Yaacov ben Rezel. Anyone else? Israel ben Chana. Atar Tzion Abbas Shalom Eskila. Tzipora Vasara. Yaacov ben Hailsha. Faya. Failsha. Rivka Leah Bat Chaya. B'soch Shachol Yisrael. Now, I say this because this is a remarkable period of time in which this week is Rosh Chodesh Adar Aleph. We don't always get a double dose of Adar. So I want to touch a little bit about Rosh Chodesh Adar, a little bit about Parshat Teruma, a little bit about the Super Bowl. Okay? So the name of this week's Shiur is Parshat Teruma and the Real Super Bowl. Because we're going to learn about a lot of bowls that were given to the Mishkan, right? Now, I kid you not, and I'm going to make this as like a little... I'm admitting, but my sons, I cut a deal with them. You know, if they want to, I get them to learn Gemara with me and do their Chumash and whatever else, and you know, you got to give to get. So they made me promise I would wake them up for the Super Bowl. My wife was ready to have a cow. How could you do that on a school night? So I said, you know what? We're not going to watch the first half. We're certainly not going to watch the halftime, whatever it is. And I found that on the British BBC network, they don't have any commercials because they're not allowed to. They just have an analyst talking. So I said, okay, we'll start for the second half, and we'll watch. And that's what we did. Now, what was interesting was at the very, very end, they gave the trophy, which was a silver trophy, right? And everybody was kissing it and touching it like you would think it was like, and what do we learn in Parshat Mishpatim? At the end of Parshat Mishpatim, Elokei Kesef, Elokei Zahav, Lo Sasun Iti. Well, it's Parshat Yisro. And Lo Tasu Lachem. So it's like, oh, I never ever saw such reverence to a silver statue with a ball on top. In any case, I'm telling you here breaking news. First of all, for those who know, the team that won is from Boston, right? And the owner is a traditional Jew named Robert Kraft, who's a big lover of Israel. Did you know that? In fact, he dedicated a stadium in Yerushalayim for young American kids to play football. Half the Americans in this country, or at least more, are all tired today because they stayed up all night to watch. And he brought a contingent of African American players, Gentile players, to Israel to show them how wonderful Israel is. So it makes a tremendous Kiddush Hashem. Also connected to Adar, his late first wife was one of the big patrons of Hadassah Hospital, named after Esther, Hadassah. So there's a connection there. But here's the real connection. Henrietta. Here's the real connection. The name of the team that lost was the Rams. How do you say Rams in Hebrew? Ayel. Correct. And now, the team that won has a coach and a quarterback who are considered the greatest of all time. They played together 17 years. They won 6 Super Bowls. Unprecedented, unheard of. And they're referred to as GOATs, greatest of all time. So I said that the GOATs beat the Rams. You understand? The GOATs beat the Rams. But wait, it's in the Parsha. V'yikhali Teruma. What is the Teruma? Zahav, Kesef, and Choshes. Let's read the pasuk very carefully, and you'll see that it was predicted in the Parsha. This is hot off the presses. I want you to send this to somebody, I don't know who. But this is hot off the presses here, okay? It's in the Parsha. Mom, it's in the Parsha. Because what does it say? Beginning of the Parsha. It's all here. We're going to talk about that pasuk in a moment. Tikhu is Trumasi. V'zosa Truma. What are you going to take? Zahav, Kesef, Nechoshes, gold, silver, brass. Chelis Varagamon, these are the turquoise wool, purple wool, the Shani, Vishesh, V'izim. Now, there's your goats. Izim are goats, goat hair. And out of that goat hair, what did they do? Rashi says, it was notza shel izim, it's the hair that grows on the goat, right? And they are used for part of the covering of the Mishkan, right? Correct. There's midrashim that says that the women wove them while they were still on the animal. But anyway, that being whichever way that went, the next pasuk, the next words are V'orot elim. Okay, so goats, izim, v'orot, skins of elim, rams. Right? That means that the goats, the greatest of all time, skinned the rams. Which they did. You heard it live. Please send it to somebody who might be interested. Okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, I tried. So, on that note, but in all seriousness, we have in our Parsha a lot of enigmas that we're going to try to resolve that are connected to the month of Adar, in which these Parshas generally begin to appear. And what's unique and special about the month of Adar? Well, Purim, right? And in the situation where there are two Adars, you have a Purim Katan, observed only on the 14th, by the way. There's no Yerushalayim Purim Katan, which is very interesting. Why is there no 14 and 15? There should be two Purim Katans. There should be Purim Katan of outside Yerushalayim, on walled cities. If you think about that, why not? Second thing is, which is the primary one in which we observe Purim? The first, only the second. Why is that? Why? So therefore, we are trying to connect the Geula of Adar with the Geula of Pesach. So we see right away that the month of Adar has to be viewed as a prelude to Nisan. Because otherwise, why not just, you say, mitzvah habal yadena al tachnitzena. First chance you have to do the mitzvah, do it. Let's make Purim in the first Adar. Second Adar can be Purim Katan, and then go into nope. It has to be a connection between Adar and Nisan. So one of the beautiful connections that they say over is that they both represent the idea of refuah, of healing. Where do you see that? And it's really a whole series of months that we're about to begin. 4 months, 16 weeks of rehab for the soul, body, and soul. Yeah, well, because what does it say? It says, Aleph Daled Reish is another way of saying what? Ani Hashem Rofecha. Although the Daled is a hidden name of Hashem. It's Adoshem, which we're not allowed to pronounce Yud Kei Vav Kei, so instead we put the Daled, as it were. So it represents the hiddenness of Hashem's name, right? It's not the revealed name of Hashem. It's Adoshem, which is what we say in exchange for Yud Kei Vav Kei, right? The real, so to speak, ineffable name of Hashem. Oh, you're going to get my whole shiur here. I'm going to give you the Chumash. You're really good. Mrs. So look at that. Very good. Now, Nisan is the month of miracles. Hence the word nes, because the open miracles that took place for Klal Yisrael, the greatest open miracles in our history, till Mashiach's time, took place in Chodesh Nisan. And then comes another month named Iyar, in which we go through the Sfiras Omer period, which stands for Ani Hashem Rofecha, but there we see the two Yuds are revealed. So what I'd like to suggest is that there is a extended process of healing. And this is all based on the word from the Bnei Yisrael. Bnei Yissaschar says as follows. Bnei Yissaschar, Rabbi Tzvi Elimelech Medina. Last Shabbos I was at my nephew's bar mitzvah, and he's named Tzvi Elimelech. After Tzvi Elimelech Medina, we went to a whole drasha there that my brother's mother-in-law proved that he was a 7th generation descendant of the great Bnei Yissaschar, who was also known as the nephew of the great Rabbi Elimelech of Lezhensk. So why wasn't he named Elimelech then, if he's the nephew? Because the niece, who was the mother, right? Right. She wanted to name him after the illustrious uncle. However, he's still alive, so they changed the name to Tzvi Elimelech instead of Elimelech. And they said, Bnei Yissaschar says, why didn't you just name me Elimelech? I would have been equal to or surpassed. If you would just call me that name, everything's in the name. And he said in Yiddish, a Tzvi is a Hirsch, right? He says, a Hirsch is nicht a Meilech, and a Meilech is nicht a Hirsch. You got to make up your mind. Either you're a Tzvi or you're a king. Tzvi's always running away from everybody. It's Eretz HaTzvi, the untouchable, the unattainable, among other things. But the Melech is stretchable, which is a symbol of Eretz Yisrael. So anyway, says the Bnei Yissaschar, I'm just adding it in the framework of Refuah. But he says the difference between Adar and Nisan is precisely this. Both deal with miracles. The difference is, as Mrs. Brown suggested, Adar is the month of hidden miracles, whereas Nisan and subsequently Iyar is the month of open miracles. And the transition between hidden and open is the month of Nisan, meaning, this I'll add, and we're going to embellish this idea of the Bnei Yissaschar. How does a Jew get a spiritual refuah? How? So, okay, we're going to get to tzedakah, and why particularly tzedakah, which is a central mitzvah in Adar, right? So, the answer is that any illness that we have, whether it's a physical illness or a character illness, a cholei nefesh. You say a person is a cholei nefesh, which means what? A person is a cholei nefesh, nebuch. They mean they're depressed, atzvus, or they are angry, they have kas, or they're consumed with jealousy, they're kina, or they're consumed by taiva, they can't control their drives. All of these things are known as machlos hanefesh. All these things are normal and can be used in avodas Hashem. Kinas, sofrim, marbe chachma. A person can say jealousy, but in the positive say, wow, look what this person's achieved in learning. I'm going to learn and I'm going to catch up to him. That's a positive thing. Kas can be used positively if you're angry with injustice, or if you're going to battle injustice or evil. Everything can be used the proper way. And once you ask the Baal Shem Tov, okay, you say this word that every midah can be used for the good, right? What about kfira? What about non-belief? What about not believing? What about being a koifer? How do you use that in a good way? He says simple. No. In other words, how can that spiritual malady of being a non-believer, of lacking faith in Hashem, actually be good? I said it was this. Let's say your friend has trouble, doesn't have money, or whatever it is. People come to people with their problems, they say, Baruch Hashem, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. They have tremendous emunah that the other person's problems are going to be okay. So in this, I heard both of the Chafetz Chaim, and for the Baal Shem Tov, he said, when it comes to somebody else's problems, you got to be a koifer. As if Hashem is not coming to help him. You're going to help him. And if you don't help them, your salvation is coming. No salvation is coming. A kofer is a non-believer in God. Denying the existence of God in some fashion, right? Kofer be'ikor means, he says, use kfira when it comes to how much you have to work to help another Jew solve their problems. And on that point, I'll tell you two quick stories, which are on my list for this year. But we'll put it here right now. There's an amazing story about ridding yourself from those spiritual maladies which come from a form of non-belief. Let me explain what this means. Rabbi speaks about this all the time. He says, really nobody, what we have to begin to believe in the month of Adar is that there is a hidden hand of Hashem that's controlling our affairs. What we call hidden miracles. That means Hashem is here. Hashem is governing. It's a very careful process. There are no accidents. And we have to strengthen ourselves because you can't see it openly. Just like the whole Purim story was a series of events that unless you string them together over many years, it just looks like a story. But we know that it was a miracle. And where in the Megillah do we know that it was the statement of faith in the Megillah came at the hands of Mordechai and Esther? What was Mordechai's moment of great faith and then Esther's moment of great faith that followed right afterwards? What did Mordechai say? How did he know? How did he know? Because when it comes to Klal Yisrael can never be destroyed. We're an eternal nation. He says, if you, Esther, don't take it on yourself right now, it's going to happen. The Jews will be saved. Because we're God's people. We cannot be destroyed. The purpose of the world will be extinct if we allow Klal Yisrael to be destroyed. It's not possible. We're indestructible. But you have to take on that you're going to be the one. That was Mordechai's faith. What was Esther's faith? Mechanos Yehudim, right? And what does she say is going to happen to me? I want you to go fast. Tomu alai. And then, Kasher avadati. I'm going to go into the king's chamber. The difference between my life and my death is a flip of a baton. Right? And I'm going to go. Why are you going? Why are you doing that? Why are you endangering yourself? Because Mordechai told me that a Hatzalah has to come for the Jews. And I'm in the position, he told me, to help that Hatzalah come about. And therefore, I'm going to go and do it, and whatever happens, happens. Because this is my tachlis. In miodea, in le'es kazos, higat lamalchus. How do you know if this is your moment? This is your one opportunity. Hashem placed you here to save Klal Yisrael. So you cannot have any personal agenda at this time. Okay? That is the incredible emunah that Hashem will create miracles. How? Through the normal intervention of man. Through us. We will create the miracles. Well, it's like in the Baal Shem Tov story. Where's the solution? As my mother likes to tell me, my parents made me back home, by the way, Baruch Hashem, nicely. Now we need, they're so energetic and so full of life. I need about 6 weeks to recover from taking care of them. All right, God bless. My mother sounds chipper on the phone. I told her, yeah, I had a great trip, everything great. I'm like, got to the airport. Anyway, so, big mitzvah, and a big trip too. It says, she was telling me, God helps those who help themselves. Yes, there is hashgacha pratis. But you got to get in there and, as they say, stick your neck out or get some skin in the game. If you don't have any skin in the game, if there's nothing to lose, then you're not really involved. So to that end, there was a story from Yisrael Salanter, this is an incredible story. He was traveling on a train, and with him was a young man who was extremely nervous and high-strung. He had a problem with Parnassa, right? And by the way, that's what he said, tzedakah, what Julie mentioned, tzedakah. The rubric, the real test of emunah, right, comes attitude towards Parnassa. We're going to see that one second. But here's the story. This guy traveling with him, what's wrong? He was learning in Kollel, and he had a Kollel stipend for a while. It ran out, and now he's got to get a job, and he wants to be a shochet. So they're on the way to a big city. He's going to take his faher, to get certification as a shochet. If he doesn't do that, he doesn't have parnassa. He won't have what to eat. Very nervous. He's not sure if he's prepared. So he's on edge. Whatever, when the social answer moved 1 inch, was no good. Open the window, close the window. smoking a cigarette, don't smoke a cigarette. The guy is on edge, and he keeps exploding on Rabbi Yisrael Salanter because they were sharing a cabin together. You know, that's how they traveled. They were just the two of them in this tiny little sleeper cabin, and he gave Rabbi Yisrael Salanter incredible grief along this whole trip. Right. They pull into the station, the big city, it may have been Vilna, and you get off the train. There's a big crowd waiting for who? Yisrael Salanter. This younger man sees what's going on. He's completely broken. The next day, he comes begging at his door for forgiveness. So he said, he gave him, he yelled at him, he screamed at him, he abused him the whole trip. And because of his nervousness. It was just impossible. And he offended, it was offensive, you know. So Yisrael Salanter says, of course I forgive you, but tell me, why were you so uptight? Why are you like that? He goes, and tells me where I'm waiting for certification for my becoming a shochet, and I'm very nervous. I'm going to pass the test or not. Okay, sure enough, he takes the test, and he fails miserably. Okay? And somehow he went back to Yisrael Salanter for Asa, or whatever it is. So it's also, listen, I'm going to get you a top teacher for the halachos, right? And they were expecting him back home with his certificate already to get to work. So he says, send a message that you need a little bit more time, that you're preparing for the, and then you're going to come home. So get that pressure off of your head, first of all. Second of all, he arranged for him a top teacher, Bucky, in all the halachos. So he would, drill him with all the halachos. Second, that's only the theoretical. Then there's the practical. Got to know what you're doing. And he gave him a top shofet to show him, biyadayim, this is what you do, and this is what it looks like. So when he has to perform a shvita and say over the halachos, he demonstrates that not only does he know his stuff halachically, but he also has the skill set to do it properly. And sure enough, the guy passes with flying colors. Flying colors, he gets his thing, and he goes in. And people ask Yisrael Salanter, say, this guy really did a number on you. Why did you help him so much? They said, listen, if there was any tinge of anger that I had at this fellow, even though I'm Yisrael Salanter, well, if somebody offends you, they offend you, right? If there's any little bit that I might have felt, I felt I needed to reverse it. I had to do something to show that I'm not willing to have this spiritual illness in me. Because the root of all spiritual illness, and this is maybe the most important thing we could ever say, is emunah. Because whatever's happening to me, it is the hidden hand of Hashem governing my life. You like it, you don't like it, you're happy about it, you're not happy about it. First things first. Say, Kach Hashem roseh. This is what Hashem wants. Even if you're in trouble, like this guy was in terrible trouble. This is what Hashem wanted, and in effect, he really ended up a lot better off than when he started, had he just barely passed the test, if you think about it. Now he knows it, now he's properly trained, and now everything worked out for the best. So, okay. Now, the second story about Rav Moshe Feinstein is this. There was one fellow, very brilliant Gaon, who had it in for Rav Moshe Feinstein. And he was so brilliant that he sat down and wrote a book arguing the Piskei Halacha of the Gadol Hador. He said, no, this way you're learning the Gemara is wrong, and that way is Gemara, and this is he tried to point out in all of the logic and the writings of Rav Moshe's Igros Moshe, all that he's wrong. Can you imagine some guys? You're going to say Rav Moshe Feinstein is wrong. The knowledge got a lot of door of the whole generation, and who are you? Like some guy from Borough Park. He was a Rebbe. He was a Rav. And I don't want to, well, the sefer that he wrote was called Ma'ana Igros, answering the letter. Okay? What his motivations were is not important. And then what happened is, he went to a publisher and he said, here's my book, I want to publish this manuscript. The guy looks at it, he says he has very, very strong words against your Moshe, like really inappropriate, disrespectful, horrible. And he's like, I cannot publish this, it's not publishable. And he pleaded with him, he said, so he said, look, if you get me a haskama from a gadol, on this book, then I'll print it. After all, printing is my business, but I cannot print it unless somebody takes responsibility for it. So he went around asking for haskamos. Anybody who took a look at the book threw him out. So he went to Rav Moshe. Can you imagine? He comes to Moshe's office, he shows him the book, it says how Moshe Feinstein is this, and it's wrong, and it's a chutzpah that he's writing like these things, and it's a toe, so he doesn't know what he's talking about, is it? And he asks for a skama. And sure enough, he gave him a skama. He said, okay, fine. Skama, I'll write a skama. So he publishes the book, and once the book is published, he gets fired from his job as a Rebbe. So now he has no parnasa on top of everything, and no one wants to hire him. Finally, he found some yeshiva that was looking for a Rosh Yeshiva, and he's certainly brilliant and qualified, but he has this problem. So they said to him, it helped, but not enough. They said there's something wrong with this guy. There's something wrong with him. We can't, he's not stable, whatever it is, we can't. Maybe the fact that he went to Moshe was even worse. Who knows? So, what does he do? He gets to this yeshiva, and the yeshiva says to him, look, you're very qualified, except there is an issue. He says, again, the only way we can hire you is you have to come with letters of recommendation from great gedolim that are going to vouch for your behavior. Well, the only person he could think of going to was who? Rav Moshe Feinstein. By the way, this is brought down a sefer from my Rabbi Rapam. This Rapam writes on this week's Parshat, by the way, on one of his phones. Tells the story. And sure enough, he goes to Rav Moshe. Moshe writes him a 3-page hamlotza. And the guy gets the job, and he has, because Rav Moshe first asked him, he said, listen, why did you write the book? Why? He goes, I needed money. He goes, oh, bazoi, it was about parnasa for a Jew? No problem. It's not because of, whatever, or some sort of personality disorder. It's to make a living. So, like publish or perish, that kind of thing. He's going to be a renowned Rosh Yeshiva. He's got to publish something. So he said, if that's the case, he wrote him a 3-page recommendation. The guy got the job. And afterwards, people went to Rav Moshe saying, like, what is this? This guy destroyed you on paper. It was terrible what he did. He said, he needed parnasa. That's all. A Jew needs parnasa. That's all that matters. So why did Rapam bring that story, my Rebbe Zatzal? Because we are very prone to become, even if a person is not very ill from these illnesses of the neshama, but that's how we make a living, the social workers and the psychologists, people come in for the same problems. You're anxious, you're nervous, you're depressed, you had a trauma, you're not having shalom bayis, you're wondering why this happened to you, you're walking around carrying old, guilt or mourning, and you can't. It's the same issues. But the application and understanding that the fact that there is a hand of Hashem, and it's Hashem's will, is the beginning of the change of the refuah. That's why Adar is Ani Hashem Rofecha. Because the refuah is the belief. And Mordechai showed that to us. He said, Revach v'hatzola yamod liyehudi mimakam acher. There will be, I believe, that there will be a Yeshua. And that's the first step. There's a will of Hashem, there's a plan. I don't understand the plan. Why would Hashem give us over to Haman? Why would he do such a thing? But there was a good involved. What was the great good that came out of Haman? Do you know that, that was good, there was something. But do you know that his grandchildren became from the greatest teachers of Torah? Do you know that? Isn't that amazing? Mentioned the Gemara that his obviously they must have converted somewhere along the line.
Mm-hmm. But
Yeah.
aren't we supposed to get rid of Amalek so there's nothing from them?
Yes. However, there is sometimes, even within Amalek, some redeemable sparks. And I look at it differently. You have to look at not who they are or what they accomplished. Haman did more for the tshuva of the Jewish people, the unity of the Jewish people. It was the breakthrough. He even paid for the Beis Hamikdash. You know, can you imagine somebody steps up and says, we're in big trouble. Klal Yisrael's disunited. They're burnt out from their emunah. They ate from the Mishta of Achashverosh. They could care less. They don't believe that there's even going to be a Beis Hamikdash. They don't say Revach v'Atzola Yamod Lihudim. No Revach and no Atzola. We just have to live out our days. Comes along somebody that unifies the Jewish people, electrifies them into prayer, spurs them into actions of great risk and faith in Hashem, and then he pays for the Beis Hamikdash because all that money that Haman had, you know where that money came from? Where did Haman's money come from? Nebuchadnezzar. It was all stolen from the Beis Hamikdash. Hashem is Sovev, spins around the wheel of time and says that money belongs to us. How are we going to get that money here? Through Haman. So in a sense,